surface of a comet. And if you use ion thrusters, you can get another order of magnitude. So just the technologies that we use for propulsion can give you a mass that needs to be lost that is 100 times less, only 1% of what a comet needs to lose.
Right.
And that means that the fuel can be less than 1% of a spacecraft. Now, in addition, of course, any alien technology might use propulsion that is far more effective than ion thrusters. And in that case, of course, it will be even smaller, the amount of fuel that you need to eject. So how do we figure it out? It's very easy. In the coming weeks, we can measure the outflow speed of the jets.
Okay.
We can measure the composition of the jets. And we can measure also the amount of mass in the jets, and from that we can infer whether the natural explanation or the technological explanation appear more likely. And I'm just saying, let's just measure those things using spectroscopy from the Webb telescope, the Hubble telescope, or from ground-based telescopes. I don't care. But the beauty of what I'm describing to you is that I have a very clear test, one way or the other, in terms of the amount of mass involved, the velocity of the output, in the context of a technological versus a natural object. And we can figure it out based on upcoming data, rather than say we know it's a comet, the way that some of the commentators or influencers say.
So you, a while ago, this was right near the beginning, you put a table together from the category of 0 being insignificant, basically a comet, to 10 being confirmed technology, global impact, confirmed extraterrestrial, artificial origin, impact trajectory, the global terrestrial consequences. You previously, from what I remember, you ranked this from 0 to 10 at number 4.
That's true.
Now, has it moved around since there? Are we going to get into a 50-50 now?
Well, this is called the Loeb scale now, because there are 3 papers discussing it.
Oh, wow.
And I'm waiting for the upcoming data, because it will be foolish of me to either bring the rank down to 0 or elevate it to high values if within a few weeks we can collect more data about these jets. And so it should be very interesting to analyze the upcoming data. Let's see what it brings.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because there's a doctor. Forgive me if I've pronounced his name wrong. Dr. Michio Kaku.
Yes. Yes.
He actually just came on the internet, and he basically said that the reason why it's showing these strange materials is because it's 7 billion years old and it's picked up garbage.
Well, again, he didn't write a single scientific paper on this subject. He's also a commentator. And he's, again, trying to be liked and popularize science.
Right.
It's not as if he's saying that based on any calculation. I wrote a paper with a student of mine where we said, suppose it's a natural object and we were to integrate the trajectory back in time, what kind of stars it should have originated from. And of course, we found that it should have arrived, because it was moving, when it entered the solar system, was moving at 60 kilometers per second. That's a high speed. We found that it should have arrived from the population of old stars in the Milky Way disk, because those stars were kicked around for a longer time, so they have a higher characteristic speed relative to the sun. And so, indeed, it should be an old object if it's natural. But even for that, whatever Michio Kaku is saying, even that has a big caveat that he does not even recognize, and that is, in associating the object with a parent star, you are assuming that it inherited the velocity of the star. But in principle, it could have had an ejection speed from the planetary system around the star. So if the ejection speed is large, the star may have a small velocity, and it's just the ejection speed that was large, bringing it to the speed that we observed. So even saying that the speed indicates an older population of stars has a big caveat to it, and that is this assertion ignores the ejection speed being potentially large relative to the speed of the parent star to start with. So if you ignore the ejection speed and just say that the object inherited the parent star's speed, then it must have been an old star. So there are two things coming in: the neglecting the ejection speed in the calculation, and secondly, assuming that it's a natural object. Because if it's technological, the speed would have been related to the propulsion system.
Yeah. Now, also, another frustrating thing for you at the moment, I would imagine, and for a lot of us, is the release of the photos from NASA, right?
Oh, yeah, they haven't released it, and I don't believe that they're doing it on purpose. I think it's just some bureaucratic rule that they have not to release it until the government shutdown ends. And it's really unfortunate because we don't want the politics of the day to suppress progress in science. So if they have the data, they should have shared it with us. Scientific community doesn't require a lot of effort. Many of the scientists involved with a high-rise camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, many of them are not NASA employees. Okay, so there must be some bureaucracy within NASA that says you're not allowed to release it until we approve it, and the office that approves it is not working because of the government shutdown. But I should say the acting director of NASA, Sean Duffy, responded to a tweet by Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
When and that was at the same time that I approached the team, and also Representative Anna Paulina Luna wrote a letter, a formal letter to Duffy asking for this data to be released. So I didn't get a response, and my point is that there should be a higher priority given to science versus politics, especially when dealing with important data that could guide us as to how to observe Priapus in the future. This is the highest resolution image we have in terms of it having 30 kilometers per pixel, so it's 3 times better than the Hubble image.
Yeah, yeah. It's strange how, like, in my world, you should all be working together, communicating at a high standard, you know?
Right.
And it just, and this is why I think the conspiracy theories are built, because it's like, well, why? If you've got the images, just release them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was asked about it and whether they have some evidence for extraterrestrial intelligence, and I said that it's most likely due to terrestrial stupidity than extraterrestrial intelligence.
Right, okay.
See, it's politics overruling science.
Yeah. And I also saw that when it went behind the sun, there was lots of large solar flares. Is that normal? Is it anything to do with the 3i Atlas?
Yeah, I wouldn't assign an important significance to that.
Okay.
But if we detect, for example, a large maneuver, or we detect artificial lights like the blue light that was implied when it came close to the sun, or if you see for example, hots on the object that implies some hot engine. Any of these constitutes a technological signature, and the observations by the Meerkat Radio Observatory in South Africa, they are operating at a frequency that is very close to the frequency of the wow signal that was discovered in 1977. So I'm happy they are doing that, and hopefully we'll see the full results in the scientific paper.
Yeah, and also I saw that there was another comet that appeared,
yes,
and then disappeared. This is again. This is where I want to just clear the muddied waters,
Yeah. Well, so it appeared it was discovered on November 2nd, and this one actually is just marginally bound to the sun. So it's on the borderline of being an interstellar object, but it could have arrived from the Oort cloud, the outskirts of the solar system, and the fact that it was noticed, just after 3i Atlas came to perihelion closest to the sun. Just a few days later, raised the possibility that maybe we're dealing with a mothership that released a probe.
Yes, because you mentioned about probes, didn't you? Potentially being.
Yeah. And I did a calculation that indicates that this object could not have originated from 3i Atlas unless it has some means of propulsion. And then, obviously we haven't seen it long enough to figure this out, but if it's just moving on a gravitational trajectory, it actually is unrelated, because its trajectory is perpendicular to the one from 3i Atlas. It's at about an inclination of 110 degrees, so it's very high inclination, whereas 3i Atlas is inclined by only 5 degrees relative to the plane of the Earth around the sun.
Oh, look, I'm getting a call from one of those unknown numbers.
Have you tried reversephone.com?
Reversephone.com?
Yeah, we all get numbers from calls we don't know. Now, it could be important, right? So you want to just ignore it. Let's say you pick up and it's your bank.
But is it my bank?
Exactly. It could be your...
So for you then, what's next within the next few weeks?
Oh, yeah. So studying those jets and figuring out their speed, their composition, their mass flux, would tell us everything about this object, whether it's anomalous, cannot be explained as a natural comet, or whether it's completely reasonable within the parameters of a natural comet.
Yeah. And then finally, I suppose, these anomalies that I say we, have nothing to do with it, that you've noticed, how different are they in comparison to Oumuamua and Borisov?
Oh, very different. Borisov didn't have much anomalies because it looked like a comet familiar to us. Oumuamua didn't show any gas or dust around it, in difference from 3i Atlas. There were no jets, there was no material evaporating from it, but nevertheless, it was pushed away from from the sun by some mysterious force, and
Yeah.
it wasn't clear what's doing it. And in addition to that, it was most likely flat in its shape. It had an extreme shape because the amount of sunlight reflected from it changed by a factor of 10 as it was pumped in 8 hours. So very different from Fear Atlas in its shape. Also in its size, it was of order 100 meters, the size of a football field, compared to Fear Atlas, who's the size of a city. Just compare a football field to a city. So very different in its shape. Also in its size, it was of order 100 meters, the size of a football field, compared to Fear Atlas, who's the size of a city. Just compare a football field to a city. So very different anomalies. But my point is, out of the 3 objects that came into the solar system from interstellar space that we spotted over the past decade, 2 of them have anomalies. So that's great news. Why? Because it either represents some new knowledge about astrophysical factories of interstellar objects that we are not thinking about, that make objects different from what we are used to in the solar system. Or maybe they represent technologies that we don't possess. And, in both cases, we will learn something new.
Do you think this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime? Or do you think, because we've seen now 3 of these interstellar, do you think we're going to see more of these strange...
Many more, because there is a new observatory called Rubin in Chile that was inaugurated just in June 2025, a few months ago. And it employs a 8.4 meter aperture and camera with 3.2 gigapixels that surveys the southern sky every 4 days. And we expect it to discover an interstellar object every few months. So we're entering a new era in the next decade where the Rubin Observatory will give us many additional examples. And it's an opportunity to check if each and every object is a rock or maybe something else. And I wouldn't be surprised, if we will eventually realize there is something else out there.
Oh, absolutely. And Avi, I really appreciate everything because I understand and I can sense and I can hear that you are literally punching through walls to get this message out there, the correct message, right? And you must be going through quite a bit underneath all these interviews and the smile faces. So I really appreciate you spreading the word out there and keeping us informed.
Thank you. Well, the main point, it's not about me, it's about the interstellar visitors coming to our backyard, and let's focus on them. And because it's exciting, it's fun to do science this way, where we're open-minded and we pay attention to evidence.
Well, you're a busy man. I'll let you get off. But thank you very much, Professor Avi.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Tiny Japanese island, seniors are telling death to them at 70 and 80. But at 100 years old, Harvard scientists found them gardening at dawn, playing cards until midnight, and outperforming their 70-year-old children. Their secret? Forbidden plants sweeping America? Stay with us to learn more.
Hi, my name's Dr. Frank Schellenberg. I'm 77 years old, and although I may look my age, I don't actually feel my age, not even close to it. In fact, if you were to measure me on all the usual markers of aging, you're going to see that I'm actually decades younger than my age. For example, my lung capacity is 102%, which is 2% higher than the average 40-year-old. My functional strength is 115%, which is 15% higher than the average 40-year-old. My blood sugar is 88, and my fasting insulin is 4. My resting heart rate is 54, which is on par with an athlete half my age. And my body fat is only 13%, which again is ideal for a fit man half my age. But more important than my numbers are what those numbers empower me to do. Most people my age are slowing down, but I'm more active than ever. I spend my days seeing patients at my medical clinic in Carson City, Nevada. And in my spare time, I do medical research. I write books and articles. I do podcast interviews, and I conduct seminars for doctors. Plus, I have no trouble riding my bicycle around Lake Tahoe, backpacking up the Sierra Mountains, cutting trees on my property, or making the 215-mile drive to San Francisco to visit my daughter. In other words, I do pretty much whatever I want, whenever I want, without limiting myself. Today, I'm going to show you how you can do that too. and it all has to do with your mitochondria. Again, my name is Dr. Frank Schallenberger. I am a board-certified doctor in anti-aging medicine, and for more than 40 years, I've been helping older
Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. What's going on, guys? Man, Candace got real fired up on her podcast. She's asking questions, right? And I think I have answers to those questions. We'll go through it together and see what we can come up with, all you and I. Now, she's asking some pretty interesting stuff. Now, she actually has an angle that nobody has seen before. I know I haven't seen before. Maybe you have. But I haven't heard anybody bring up what she's about to bring up. But also, talking about her getting fired up, it's very clear she said she wanted war with the people at Turning Point, and I think he's dead serious. She's questioning Blake, she's questioning Mikey, and you know what? Everybody is when they make the videos, when they're checking out the reactions and whatnot. Tyler, the other podcast, she called Tyler gay. What? I mean, just didn't expect that. She did it real smooth too. She just threw it in. She said, "Oh, everybody knows about." I was like, "Wow, what's going on?" But aside from that, a lot of this stuff, if you've been a watcher since I've been covering the Charlie Kirk case, you're going to see some stuff that I kind of covered already. You're going to hear some stuff that I kind of touched on already, so maybe you've already seen videos like that and you're feeling like there's a little overlap. Just bear with her because she might be talking about the same things that we've already talked about, but you're getting it from her angle. And honestly, she asked some pretty solid questions about this whole thing. So let's jump into what she has to say, and then we're going to go through some footage. Let's go.
Updates on the Charlie Kirk story, and something that is really bothering me in the back of my mind. Actually, a lot of things are bothering me, but here are two more things that are bothering me. Charlie was never rendered any first aid immediately. I know the security team, I know that one of them is supposed to administer first aid immediately. We don't see that happening. I've seen everything from different angles. When he's down on the ground, they don't put any gauze on him. They don't even put a hand where the wound is to try to stop the bleeding. In fact, when they pick him up, he is flopping all the way to the car. His neck is not even being held in a manner that they're trying to stop the wound from opening up. And something that really struck me as what is going on is the fact that he was never even put on the ground when he fell from the chair, okay? I'm going to explain this to you. Now, I have the back footage, I have the side footage, and what you can see is that the first thing that happens is the security guard actually grabs Charlie. So Charlie doesn't actually fall from the chair. The security guard lifts him and guides him onto the ground, which is what you're supposed to do. Obviously, get low. Unless you're Mikey McCoy, when shots go off, you're supposed to get low. And so he puts him behind the table, but he guides him on top of a suitcase, an equipment suitcase, so to speak. I'm going to show you guys that because no one has actually gone to this, and at no point do they take him off of this, okay? So whatever, 30 seconds pass, and it just strikes me as really odd that you wouldn't put him flat and straight, and then they're all kind of huddled over him on top of a suitcase, like an equipment box, so to speak. So here's this. I'm going to show you that. Look, anybody caught this? Charlie was never actually put onto the ground, and his head, which we're obviously blurring out here, his head is flopped over. He is not level this entire time. As they are laying over him, they never put him on the ground. I find it very strange that those equipment boxes are even there. They're on either side of him, which is very strange. As far back as we could look, we couldn't see this sort of a setup. Everything is weird this day. And on the inside, they have these boxes. So I'm actually putting this out here because A, it's weird, but B, I am wondering, and maybe somebody can look this up so everybody is looking at different angles of footage, if they moved that box that Charlie was on, if that box was moved before Camera Boy comes and removes the cameras, or was that equipment box still there?
I know, way too close to the camera, but you have to understand, I have a Patreon now, so consider subscribing to the Patreon. As you know, sometimes we get attacked by bigger accounts, and it puts this channel in jeopardy on Patreon. I'll be able to talk about things that I can't talk about here, and you'll have more of a link to me, just in case, like I said, they're going to figure out this whole Philadelphia thing that I've been rolling with the past few weeks. And if they do, you'll find me over there. Link in the description.
That's only about 4 minutes that passes, and I don't recall seeing that equipment box in the aftermath. And it's just weird they kept him on it. Like, that's just not even in common sense scenarios. If I was there and I was not being paid millions and millions of dollars to secure the venue, like these individuals were, annually, I would know that you have to get a body flocked to administer any sort of aid, to assess things. I don't know what I actually don't know what they're doing for about 20 seconds, for about 30 seconds. I don't know what they're doing. They seem to be huddled up. Doing what? Doing what exactly are you doing? If you are not securing the wound, if you're not even trying to get his head level, what are you doing? That's a long time to be down there, according to me and common sense. Just common sense. You got to do something. They don't even open their bag to try to administer any aid. And they're paid millions of dollars per year to do that. Anyways, the second thing, if you have that...
So, we do have the footage, right? We do have this footage. Now, this changes in about a few seconds. The person moves the camera, right around there. But we can take this, turn the sound off. We'll slow it right down to about a quarter of the speed, 2.5. And what do you guys see? I don't know. Now, if this is what she's talking about, then it's right there. But I don't think that's it. Because Charlie fell more to that side. And from what I can see right here, you can kind of see, I think it's one of those concrete blocks that everything was positioned on, that they ended up redoing soon after. You know that this is a chair. And I'll show you how I know that in another clip. But from what I can see, it looks like it's gone. Then they move it from there. But I found another clip as well. We'll turn off the sound on this one as well. Because when you slow it down this much, it's just ridiculous, right? You don't want to hear that. So let's check this out. So we have that, and we're looking at this side. So,
lesser dippers. They're not hard enough. The angle is too high. They're not polished. They're not particularly sharp. You will never find another nail cutter on the market that can shave hair like that. Like, not even remotely close. Because with a really sharp tool, you get to kind of break the rules. You get to work quickly, and the quality of your work is excellent. It's just a ridiculously clean cut. It doesn't shoot your nails across the room. After you cut your fingernails with this and you run them on your shirt, they don't have, those little scabbies everywhere that you're just dying to file off. It really does slice your nail like a razor, as opposed to...
Sure,
So that's him climbing up there. Again, you're seeing the same box here. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I can't tell what that is. And I've worked events like this. I can't tell what that is. It's not sound. Sound wouldn't be next to him. It looks like it could be a desk, but then these two parts don't make any sense. Right? So let's slow it down. So here he is. And it looks like he steps over something. I'm going to have to show you that in regular speed. Look, see that? Looks like he steps over something. I'm not 100% sure. But that's him as he takes the camera down. Not even takes out the SD cards. He takes out the SD cards from here and another camera. But he actually takes that one down, puts it down here, and then he actually takes the SD card out and leaves it there. Yeah, see, you can see him doing it there. But if you go back... to see, you're seeing him step down, right? So see it again. He's stepping down, so he's on a chair. There's definitely a chair there. And right there is, I think that's where Charlie would have fell. Which is why so many people, what is this guy doing? Like, you're stepping in the place where the person who just got shot was? Like, you can't do that. Let me just put it at normal speed. Let's see if we can see him making any type of move there. But I think it's gone. And honestly, if anybody moved it, it would have been him, because he was in charge of the audio and video. Depending on what it was, if it had anything to do with audio video, he would have moved it. And honestly, just given his reaction and what he was doing, I would say he's more than likely the person that moved it. If he's not, then of course, allegedly. If he's not, then probably knows who moved it, right? Let me just see. Let's see here. So this is normal speed, so watch quickly. He steps over something. I don't know if it's that box or not, though, because I feel like when he steps down here, I feel like when he steps right down there, that's around the place the box would have been. Because Charlie was right here. And Charlie fell back. He fell back and onto a box. Let's see. Then he steps over something. The most I can think of is that the box was moved. And that's why he's stepping over something there. Because I haven't seen anything else that... I haven't seen anybody move anything. It's the only real thing that makes sense. And again, I don't think that's the box. Again, no, it's not. Candace already showed it to us. He showed it to us. Let's see again. Where is it? Right there?
Okay? So whenever 30 seconds pass, and it just strikes me as really odd that you wouldn't put him flat and straight, and then they're all kind of huddled over him on top of a suitcase, like an equipment box, so to speak. So here is this. I'm going to show you that.
So he's on top of that. Yeah, that doesn't look...
If you've never cashed a $42,166 paycheck, then I've got good news.
Like this. Right? I think we can rule that out. So it's not that. We go back to what Candace is showing us here. We have this box here, the desk. Then we go back here, take a look again. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like he steps over something. So it's either that the box has been completely removed, or they moved the box. Either way, it's tampering, but I don't think that's what Candace is getting at when she's questioning that. I think she's questioning, or maybe she is talking about tampering. I was going to say, I think she's questioning the removal of some kind of evidence in her mind, because that box would be major evidence. And if at this point, so this box would be major evidence, and if at this point, which is about 4 minutes after, maybe 5 minutes after, if it's been moved, or if it just got taken away, which I think it did. I think they tore down the whole thing probably within a couple of hours. I don't know. Really, really weird. But that was one of the things she was asking about. So there is that. You tell me, let me run it again for you guys. Let's run it normal speed, then we'll run it slow. Definitely steps over something. No idea what it is. There's no camera angle from that other side. Then as you can see, just puts that down. So let's run it again, real slow. Again, I'm doing this just because, she's looking for answers, and maybe one of you can see this whole thing better than I can. Sets of eyes, right? So he steps down. Right? Camera's a little wobbly, but he's for sure stepping over something. I just feel like in my mind, when he takes this step, he's standing where the box would have been. Yeah, not sure. Not 100% sure. Again, it's there's only two real outcomes here. Either it was completely removed and nobody has any idea where it was, which is very sus, or it was just shifted a little bit. Either way, very odd. Hope that helps, Candace. And let's jump into, see, she told you she got heated. She got heated. Exhibit A. Exhibit A. How do you know that Candace Owens got hit? Your Honor, Exhibit A. Right there, Your Honor. That is my proof. Case dismissed. Anyway, let's jump into the next the next one, and then we're going to show a whole bunch of footage. I got like 6 different videos.
Way beyond, he starts going left towards a parking lot.
I should say she's talking about Mikey McCoy right now. I should say she's talking about Mikey McCoy, his odd reaction, Blake telling his story in regards to him and Mikey, and then we're just going to go through Blake, his reaction during the whole thing, Mikey McCoy's, and see if Blake's story really adds up. Again, If you've been watching every single episode, you know I already went over this. But again, Candace is asking some very interesting questions. So let's go.
And he's finally out of view. He never once puts this down. So still holding and maybe thinking what? It doesn't make any sense, okay? Anyways, I have been sort of not wanting us to engage in setting aside our common sense, obviously. The excuses that we have been given, none of it makes, the excuses make even less sense, actually. And the excuse that we were given about what Mikey was doing is like running in the back of my head. Blake Neff, who was there, he's also carrying on Charlie Kirk's show, and he was pretty fired up about people asking questions about what Mikey was doing. And I just want you to listen to what Blake Neff says that Mikey was up to in those seconds. Now, like I said, we can track Mikey, okay? Here is what he says, just to listen to what I actually find to be quite epic with this. Take a listen.
The shooting occurs. I am next to Mikey. Both of us hear a loud crack. We both turn. We both see Charlie who has been shot. Both of us, I think at about the same time, realize that that means there is a shooter who is on the scene. And, you just hear the crack, so you don't know, did it come from far away? Did it come from close? Is there a mass shooter unfolding right now? So I and him both had the reaction of, let's get out of here before we're both shot. That is not us abandoning Charlie. Charlie had a security team. They all leapt immediately into action, and they got Charlie out of there, which was what their job was to do. My job was not to get in the way and screw this up because, I had to be a hero. That was not my job. I remember even running past, both of us going past the SUV that we came in on, and me thinking, should I get in that car? And then thinking, no, that's a really stupid thing to do. And then I kept going. So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left.
Yeah.
And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realize there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And truthfully, I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone, and he begins calling Erica, and I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this without. That is happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erica. I, at the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, hey, Mom, there's been a shooting. We're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Take me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him. And I guess it's very disgusting for me as someone who witnessed this, who saw Mikey hugely distressed and then step up in the moment, because after that, that call was over, I saw Mikey like get total mastery of himself. That he realized he had to step up in this situation, and from that point he was like a general directing a battle where he was grabbing people and saying, okay, we need to get to the hospital and we need to do these things, and you guys need to wait here. I need to get in here to get information so that I can get it to Erica. And when we learned he was dead, he came out and he told us, and then he says, now none of you can say anything that you've heard because Erica's not going to hear about this from anyone except me.
Man, the way that he explains what happened to Mikey, I mean, if that was me, I'd be a little upset. I mean, maybe it's not the time to joke. That's not how I roll. I'd be a little upset. The thing about Colin was, I've seen him every day, usually a real bubbly guy. His lip was quivering. Snot bubbles coming out of the guy. I'd be like, hold on, hey, bro, hey. I thought we were going to say I was like a general. What happened? You guys are talking about lips quivering and tears. I thought we were going to say I was like a general and mastery of self. Let's stick with that. No? Like, what we going to the lip quiver for? Why we got to do that? How you trying to make... The thing about Colin is, I mean, I've never smelt anything like this before. He completely soiled himself. Ran up to me. Oh, I'm so scared. What? Don't say that about me. Hold on a second. Please. Especially if I'm not going to talk about it at all online. I'm never going to defend myself. I'm never going to release a statement or anything like that. Please, keep it to mastery of self. Okay? Don't worry about the lip quiver. Why are you doing that? Mikey must have been pissed. Hey, Blake. You're talking about my lip quivering? Bro, what's up with you? Anyway.
This is my favorite dentist hack to clean my retainer. If you wear a retainer every night like I do, you know how hard it is to keep it truly fresh and clean, safe and bacteria-free. I've seen so many of my patients struggle with ineffective cleaning methods like brushes and tablets. These methods fail to completely eradicate plaque, leading to a cloudy biofilm building up, and that can cause gum recession and tooth decay. That's why it's so crucial to clean your retainer properly. The Dental Pod removes plaque and bacteria using powerful ultralight technology for the deepest clean, no matter the age or type of appliance. Microscopic bubbles burst, disintegrating grime and particles at a cellular level in a phenomenon called cavitation. Reaching into the smallest crevice and even helping to remove stains. This is the same advanced technology we use in dental clinics, restoring your retainers to a sparkling, like new condition at home. It's so easy to use. Just add water, drop in your retainer, and press the button to start the quick and effective cycle.
I make jokes when I want to make jokes, man. When they come, they're coming. That's it. What do you want? What do you want? That's how I go. Okay? Let's keep going.
Okay, so here is what is wrong with that. First and foremost, because we have further footage of Mikey walking, there's no way he was covering his ears. Okay, he doesn't dial, and he keeps it like this all the way past Charlie's car. I think Charlie's coming in. Mikey goes straight past the car, and then he goes all the way to the left, and he never brings his hand down, okay? He's not covering his ears for that long. It doesn't make any sense. Blake might think he's telling the truth, but it's not a true account of what happened on that day, okay? So again, Blake might think he's telling the truth, so it is possible that Blake is not lying, okay? But it is not a true account of what happened on that day. Clearly, it looks to me like he knows where he's going. It is up right by the parking lot, in the general direction of the parking lot that he seems to be going, straight and then to the left. And he is on the phone already, and Blake Neff is nowhere to be seen. We can track those movements. We are told that within the minute of Charlie getting shot, he called both Erica and he called both Robbie McCoy. And that's one of those little things that's really messing with me. Because the implication here is that the call with Erica had to be fast. Okay, the implication here is the call with Erica had to be fast. I want you to imagine you get a phone call, okay, from whoever, saying that the person that you love most in this world and the person that you are married to has been shot. How fast are you getting off that phone? You're staying on the phone. You're asking questions. There's a series of questions that need to be answered. You scream. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Where is he? Where do I go? Blah, blah, blah. Is he okay? There are a litany of questions that would be asked. And please don't tell me that this is some situation where that wouldn't be the circumstance. I am so tired of the you wouldn't know what you would do. I do know that you're asking a series of questions, which means naturally, if what he is saying is true, and until they reunited, which does not happen in our eyesight, we do not see Blake and Mikey reunite when we track Mikey all the way straight down to the left, okay? That 12:23 minute has got to be over by the time he sees his lip quiver, by the time he says, I have to call Erica, and then he's going to call Erica, and I'm supposed to believe what? This was a 15-second phone call? Hey, Charlie's been shot, got to call you later, like, because I got to call my dad and ask him to pray. By the way, that one, too, doesn't make sense. You could call your dad after you call 911. I mean, there's so many things that would happen before I called my dad and asked him to pray if you're really going to snap into it. And I know for a fact also that one of his first phone calls, it wasn't just 2 phone calls he made 3, because he also called Elizabeth McCoy, his wife, who screamed at the office. Okay? And so we're not being told the truth.
What you want, dude? What you want?
See, all those questions, right? Those are very, not even just questions, observations. It's very true. The phone call couldn't have been that fast. You'd have to explain more to Erica. But also, let's just say, how much could Mikey actually explain? He literally, it went off and he just turned around and walked. He doesn't actually, he doesn't really know what happened. What happened, Mikey? Did you try saving him? No, I'm on a walk. I'm on a walk, actually. I got to get my steps in. 10,000 I'm trying to hit a day. So I'm just on a walk right now, just past the SUVs. It's weird. It's very weird. So, calls Erica, calls his dad, calls his wife. Doesn't call 911. I find that very odd. One person, I believe it was an email or a message, but one of you reached out and you were talking about Wanting to see the 911, like the call log, to see who called 911. Because it seems like no one did. You hear they're all getting low and this and that. No one thought to call 911. There's a video of a bunch of people when it happens and they're by an SUV and they're all crouched down. Nobody calls 911. It's very odd. Very, very odd. I don't get it. I don't get it. I said, like, I feel, I've gone over this before, but I feel like you'd wanna be in there trying to save him, finding the EMT, which was actually on site. There's two of them. I wish Candace would bring that up. I don't think she knows that. I tagged her, but I don't think she knows that. EMT, and then you're calling 911. Seems like the thing to do. You don't have to call anybody. How did you make that short phone call? I'm starting to think that maybe Rob McCoy, when he gave that speech in front of his congregation, did contact him first. Now, how much of this clip am I going to play? I'll play a little bit more, then I want to get into the footage, right, so we can actually start thinking about this.
That's what I'm getting at. We are not being told the sensible truth. Was his phone call to Erica only 10 seconds? Like you just drop that news and keep it moving? Or was he already on the phone with Rob McCoy? What happened? Okay, I need clarification because every day that goes on, it feels to me like Turning Point is engaged in a cover-up. And there's no other way to say this. There's no other ways. I don't care who at Turning Point tweets. I literally do not care. I will breathe fire on all of you. I know how these events work. Why was this event confirmed so quickly when it was requested so late? Answer these questions. I need answers to these questions to understand what happened on that day. Because the way that Mikey moves is like he knows where he's going. It's like they know where they're going to meet. And we know that they got to the hospital very quickly because Blake Neff says elsewhere they got into the hospital within 25 minutes. Okay? They knew that means they knew instantly what the hospital was. They knew which direction to go to, the communication that's flowing. I think Frank said he was on the phone while they were in the car with his family members. Don't quote me on that. So all of this happened. You instantly got to the hospital, which, by the way, the hospital was put on lockdown when Charlie came in, what we were told. They let Mikey and the Turning Point boys in. Maybe that's true. It sounds like it is true. Obviously, we know that you were there when they came out and said that Charlie had died, according to Blake Neff. And according to Frank Turek's testimony, but a lot of this little stuff is not making sense.
Yep, she's definitely right about that. And I can't believe she just said that. She's now going towards what a lot of us have been going towards. I mean, I try to be as charitable as possible with the Turning Point people, right? I try to be as charitable as I can and really think around any them being involved or complicit in anything. But that's where a lot of people have been going, and a lot of people have been going there since the very beginning, before they even saw Mikey McCoy's reaction or anything like that. A lot of people went that route. And I mean, it's not like they were going after Tyler or anything like that. Everybody looked at the security. That was the first thing, because, who are your eyes on first? Well, it's the people who first get to them. They don't have blood on the hands, etc., etc. If you've been watching my videos, you already know I've covered that a whole bunch. But let's jump over to the actual footage.
YouTube has just paid for my entire trip around Europe. It paid for this new car, and it even paid for this new house for my parents. And yeah, I don't want it.
Hubieras dicho, no, porque no viniste ayer.
This here is Blake and Maddie. Now, this has been seen as a little suspicious. Now, people are thinking this is suspicious because why do you suddenly have to get out of that car? And that car is the car that they load Charlie into, right? But this is Blake, and I'm showing you this so you can see what he's wearing, so you can understand who you're seeing in the next clips, right? And Blake pulls everything out. He pulls out his charger, he pulls out everything. He has his charger in his hand, everything. So he's out of there. He cannot go back in there. Now he's on his phone, and he's just chilling. You know? Basically it. And then the person just plays the clip again and again, slower and slower. I'm not sure why they're doing this. I guess they're feeling there's something really up with Blake. I've watched this multiple times. I don't see anything too crazy. I'm not seeing any flashes. I'm not seeing anything, but we're seeing Blake get out of the car. But again, this is what Blake's wearing, so you know exactly what Blake's wearing. So now we move on, and you can see Blake right away, right there. This is Mikey McCoy. You can pull that down a little more. The tent is blocking their faces, but just saw his attire. Seeing this guy, this is the camera guy who ends up. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure my cursor said. This is the camera guy. This is Blake right here. This is Mikey McCoy. This is all verified over and over again, and this is their reactions. I think I have this going pretty slow. Yeah, I got it going at a quarter of the speed, just so you can see everybody's reaction clearly. So obviously I keep Charlie blurred out. You know, I've seen it enough. The first 2 days I saw it enough, quite honestly. I'm going to make sure Charlie's blurred out there. But you are seeing. So right away, you're seeing Mikey, you're seeing Blake. Now I'm going to show you another angle. I think I have another angle. But right away, right there, you can see them both there. And now they choose to blur it. Thanks guys. Made my job a little easier as an editor. Now you see them actually leaving. That's Blake. Blake is gone. Mikey's now walking. Blake is running. Right? You're going to see Blake here first. That's not Blake. That's Blake right there. He's gone. Now you're going to see Mikey. He's right there. He's walking. So we're not really seeing them together. And Blake's story is that they're together. That's how Blake is verifying everything about Mikey. As far as I can see, when we're just looking at the footage that we can see, we're seeing something a little different than what he was saying. I'm going to move on to another clip. And again, like Candace said, I don't know that Blake's lying. Doesn't seem like a lying type of guy. I am not in the camp of just thinking all these guys are liars. Just looking at reactions, seeing what they're doing, etc., etc. I wouldn't sit back and say they're all liars. I don't even know them. I don't even know their backgrounds. I mean, we know Robert McCoy's background a little bit. We know Mikey's background just a tad, but we don't truly know their backgrounds. So that's Mikey. Mikey's getting done. He's now walking off. There's not a run going on. He's walking. Right? Do they show the rest of that? Let's see. And now they're showing him here. And actually, here's where there is a little bit of a hop step. A lot of people don't see that. But there is a little bit of a hop step. But we have it in motion here. So again, I have it slowed down. You can see there's a little bit of a hop step here. But again, this is what Candace was talking about how it's been a minute. And you're not seeing Blake with Kyler. And it's nuts because, well, I mean, everybody can do what they want, but we've seen footage of people, and everybody kind of got down around here. They funneled into here and got down around here. But Blake is saying that he ran well past this point within a minute. I'm not saying he couldn't or anything, but it's just odd that you ran where no one could see. Mikey went where no one can see. And then the heroic story all unfolded. That's what people aren't really buying. We'll run it just one more time for you guys. A little bit of a hop step. A little bit of a hop step. Right? Just helping verify what Candace is talking about here. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all the love. I really, really appreciate it. And I think what I'm going to start doing, and you can tell me if you think it's a good idea, but I want to start putting the posts that I do here that go on YouTube, I want them to go on the public side of Patreon. So if you're just like you join for free, you would see this post. But then what I want to do for the people who are paying, I want to do a segment where I talk about what I really think about a video, what I really think is going on. Because right now I'm just disseminating, I'm just breaking up information for you, looking at it from different angles and whatnot. But then I can do a segment where I talk about what I really think about it. And that could be something. Like I said, I want to turn that Patreon almost into like a network. Because eventually I want to grow that into my own site and have a direct link with you guys. So just trying to deepen that connection. Just trying to deepen that connection. Yes. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the show.
I don't know, we have 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck.
I wish I would known this 20 years ago. This is a hidden gem that people don't know about.
You might be closer to retirement than you think. Have you heard of income tax? Duh, right? We all have to pay it. But did you know there's a secret government-secured cash flow investment where people are getting checks in the mail, earning a percentage of the government's annual tax revenue? That's like $2.1 trillion with a T right now every year. So what do the returns on investments like this look like? Well, your typical dividend stock pays like 2, maybe 4% a year. It's pathetic. Real estate, you're looking at
In the last year, I've eaten over 200 fast food menu items across America, regrettably. And unfortunately, most places let us down. But what if we were doing it wrong? Is there some secret we just don't know about? Come to find out, there is one last redeemer. The secret menu. Some spots have dedicated secret menus, while others have been created and lauded by the internet. Could these items finally change my mind on all the places I thought were once trash? So today we're trying every major fast food secret menu item in America to see if they're any good, and more importantly, crown the very best one. And our story begins at our first stop, Dave's Hot Chicken. Every time we come here, it's been a huge disappointment. Their chicken has never been good. We always go to the same location every single time, hoping it'll be better, and it's just not. I want to be a part of the hype, and yet it just hasn't delivered. So the modifications that we're trying doesn't use chicken at all. The internet recommends assembling their fries, mac and cheese, and their cauliflower bites, pickles, and Dave sauce. Their chicken has never been good to me, so let's see how the cauliflower does. And of course, a classic alum on the channel here, Chef Christian, joins us again. We love him. Cheers. not bad. I got a good crunch on that. All that flavors, mac and cheese is solid. It's not blowing my mind though, if I'm being honest. The cauliflower underneath the breading is completely unseasoned, so it's just like raw, flavorless, overcooked cauliflower with a little bit of crunch and salt on the outside. It's almost like if you took a nice crunchy bite and diluted it with water. It looks great. If you did chicken, this would be worse because their chicken is clinically usually bad, and the cauliflower bites are good. I like it. Look at plant-based getting out there. Good for you guys. 3, 2, 1. What? It's all good for you guys. It's clinically usually bad, and the cauliflower bites are good. I like it. Look at plant-based getting out there. Good for you guys. 3, 2, 1. What? It's almost a 7. It's not the most mind-boggling one we've had, but like I would make this again. I'd be interested to try with the chicken. I wonder if it would go up. But at the end of the day, 6, 7 moving. McDonald's is up next with probably one of the most terrible, mean, popcorn-generated items ever.
Yo. No, yo estoy bien. Es que no quiero ir. ¿Me traes un taco? Gracias.
This man. Hi, sorry, I don't know if y'all even serve this anymore. Do y'all serve the McGangbang?
Yeah, for the McGangbang.
Yeah. No. Yes, we found out about the customer created the Gangbang, which is now just a spicy McCrispy in between the burger patties of a McDouble. So let's taste again. Right down the middle, baby. So much bread. I like the spice from the McCrispy. The chicken flavor is kind of shining through, but there's just so much going on. You kind of can't pick out an individual flavor.
I think the spicy saves it because the burger sucks. 1, 2, 3.
Wow. It's like turning up the dial above mid. I wouldn't get this again, but it was tolerably decent.
Maybe if I was feeling extra gluttonous, I don't need 4 pieces of bread.
That's really what knocks it down. I agree. They did not do that great on this one. So moving on. We're now at Bubbles Jangles. And this is kind of funny. It started back in 2021 when a news reporter in South Carolina named Mike Duba accidentally received his pimento cheese Cajun filet sandwich on a Bowberry biscuit. He tweeted about it in the viral, but this exact menu item doesn't exist in Texas. Still one of the closest possible things.
Hey, actually, can I get 2 Bowberry chicken biscuits?
You want icing on them?
Yes, please.
And you want the icing on the inside or the outside?
Both, please. You have a great day.
First of all, I'm surprised that they already knew what it was. They knew what was up, but they did not have the pimento cheese, so we substituted American cheese.
Can we talk about how it's creamed inside and outside?
No comment.
I mean, like the blueberries.
I don't like it. I would rather there be no cheese. If it were pimento, I think it would be even worse. The chicken and the berries go well together, right? I mean, if you were to make like a food glaze, that would go well with fried chicken, right? Even the icing kind of works with the chicken. So the cheese throws it off. So it's a weird flavor for me.
Meet the Lux Brewer. One touch for a brew that matches and exceeds the SCA Golf Cup standards. Try a smooth and refreshing coffee with cold brew, or personalize your own settings with custom mode.
You're the best divorce lawyers in town.
It's showtime, ladies.
Stand up straight and breeze into that room like a storm no one saw coming.
I love my Joe.
Don't miss All Stare and more of the juicy stories you love every day.
The drama begins now. I am here for the ride.
A super villain that makes you effortlessly beautiful. We take the first call.
Cheese ruined it. I know there's supposed to be cheese on it. Any cheese flavor on this, I don't want. Any shit.
Above average, great, but not amazing.
Jack in the Box is up next, and we found it soon. It actually sounds shockingly promising. Hi, can I get a cheesecake? And then is it possible to get a side of a little thing of maple syrup and bacon bits? Maple bacon cheesecake and a Jack in the Box. I wouldn't have thought of that, honestly, because I don't really think about Jack in the Box. Honestly, kind of good.
I said, I don't hate it.
But it's kind of weird how it turns into liquid in your mouth.
The cheesecake is just weird. If it was like a quality cheesecake with the bacon and the maple syrup, it'd be money.
So typically when you eat a cheesecake, there's typically like a little bit of nuance in the texture where it's like, it's got a crumbliness to it, it has like a density to it, and it kind of has more of a paste. This, as you chew, turns to literally a liquid. Honestly, if you plated this really nice and served it at a restaurant, most people would not notice. I can't believe I'm giving Jack in the Box this rating. 3, 2, 1, bada boom! No, 7 for Jack in the Box. I really thought this was going to be a lot of like, you're just slapping a bunch of stuff together. What's that going to do? At the end of the day, cooking and food is about ratios and combinations, and it's working.
I would never go to Jack in the Box with like, I want a cheesecake. But this hack, this is balanced. Recommend. Moving on.
Chick-fil-A. We have 2 out. The first is the buffalo chicken mac and cheese, with nuggets, mac and cheese, buffalo sauce, ranch, and you just mix them all together. The second is a viral Chick-fil-A bowl where you order the waffle fries, nuggets, mac and cheese, ranch, honey, twist, barbecue sauce, mix in salad bowls. You gotta order the bowl separate, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Whichever one is better, the one will improve.
It's not bad. I do like the little sweetness from the honey barbecue sauce.
Like, it tastes good. It's just more than a slot bowl. But let's see if the other one's better. There's no fries in this, though, I should add. Okay, I think I like this one more. How do you think?
It's balanced. This is more addictive. I think the buffalo.
Yeah, the acidity. The flavor is pretty similar, to be honest, but like the acidity from the buffalo sauce and the spice from the buffalo sauce, the flavor-wise, I like a little more. This, with a side of fries, kind of middle.
30 minutes before I gotta go back to work, done.
Is this how you want to fuel your work day, though?
America's call since 1876. And you've been around that long? Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to do a quick update on turret interference, and I believe it is completely broken. Some people have already made videos about this, but I just want to show you once again. So what you have here is, let's say, a pretend base, and it has 12 turrets, and they're all connected to a power source. There's a TC. As you can see, I'm not even on the TC. And then somebody comes by and they build a base. And they put a bunch of turrets. In this case, I put 9 turrets. And then they start activating the turrets using a simple switch. So here I'm activating 3 turrets. Oh, look what's happening. There's 3 turrets that are basically being overridden by the ones that just got made. There's a turret interference of like 40 million. Let's turn on more turrets. Let's see what happens. Oh, once again, 3 turrets. They're on. As you can see, all the turrets are on. And here we have 6 turrets turned off on this side. There's 9 turrets on there. The other ones didn't reach, I guess. But this is a major problem, as you can tell. Somebody can build a raid base and disable all of them.
Oh my gosh.
The turrets are facing something to keep in mind. And that full face mentions to address this, because this is a pretty significant problem. And let's try turning it off just to show you. This one is not going to do anything. As you can see, all the turrets on the secondary base are on now. So yes, this needs to be fixed and addressed. Some other system needs to be fixed. This is the
The 8 auto turrets in Rust. First, you will need turrets, a large battery, a wind turbine, and 7 electrical branches. Take the wire from your wind turbine and connect it to your battery. Now set all the branches' values to 10, and connect each power out to another's power in. Finally, power the first branch and take the branch out to each turret. So, send this to your teammates so that they know how to easily set up 8 auto turrets in Rust. First, you will need turrets, a large battery.
So you've just got your first auto turret. How do you set it up? First, you're going to make sure you have a battery and a power source.
If I don't want to work in an ongoing toilet,
Alright, we accidentally got right there.
20 by 20 hammer. Now, I'm excited. I'm excited. No, I can't. 20 by 20 hammer.
Lesser clippers. They're not hard enough. The angle is too high. They're not polished. But they're not particularly sharp.
Most of our world is hidden in darkness.
Welcome builders. Infinity is suitable for a small group with convenient loot rooms and excellent online protection. A lot of spawn points with beds and walkers, comfy shooting hall with small open core roof, protected by double chain-link turrets. Press F for our babies. On this base we have Void Zone TC with very low upkeep. But if someone raid you, you can always disconnect and place main TC, and then reconnect again. About how to get inside. There are 4 different entrances, each with box for fast drop and shotgun trap. I love these gaps for gates. If you stay on campfire, you can easily kill enemy. Also good vision inside your compound. So don't worry about your head. From all gates you see everything. Now when face punch north turrets, it's very difficult to protect all. Compound and roof. I know that you can use a Heartbreaker sensor, but this needs to be improved. And in the future I will show you. Anyway, when you place large furnaces you can cover by 2 turrets. But last 10 wipes I used electric ovens, it's much better and more safe. Going inside and see Patricia Peak with small changes. Light spray, need more time and vigilance. On main core we have more boxes, furnaces, traps on each corner, all what you want. You can also run without getting stuck. While I run into the sea, you can press like or write any comments. I'll be very great. Now I will show you how I see loot rooms, but you decide for yourself. You can place TC on the second floor with other boxes and move furnaces to the first. For example, on second floor there is a lot of space, tea table, electric furnaces, more beds and more. On third floor, batteries, lockers and again boxes. If you split your loot, Raider will spend a lot of explosives. And last floor, where you can go out to shoot in and top roof. On both sides single doors, so it's hard to control. In fact, here you will spend most of the wipe. I don't mean roof camp. On top you have open core where you will fold your loot while online. But when you go sleep, split your stuff on all floors for better result. About runs, you can use rockets to defeat any raid. How? It's also very convenient to shoot within a cave, so you can easily defeat Infinity.
your enemies. It's very difficult to hide because it's from 4 different sides. Our main solo is top roof. It's pretty open but good protected. Double chain links from every side, more spawn points also behind walls, and it's hard to break. Don't forget that turrets under cover some angles. And guys, if you have any questions, I'm glad to help you on comments or on my Discord channel. For what you need, create ticket and describe your problem. That's it. Back to the video. As I said, also hiding beds and nice peaks to protect you. I want to ask you, in this video I tried to show everything on the tour, and it took longer than usual. So I want to understand what is better for you, short start or spending more time like in this video. That's not all. You also have bets about the entrance from which you can kill a couple of ravens. These red lights will help you choose the best shooting angle. About upkeep, in my opinion, for 8 people, a rather small amount.
This is the deep sea, which is the vast majority of our planet. And even here on Google Earth, we're looking at digitally modeled shadings of the ocean floor, not pictures of the surface that we have on Earth. And forever I thought that's because there wasn't much to look at out here. Just an endless blue expanse. Hard to travel to, not much going on. But a few months ago, my colleague Christoph told me that there's something happening out here. Something worth looking at.
I have a story that I think we could do together that I think takes advantage of the things in reporting that you're good at and the things in reporting that I'm good at.
Christoph's thing is diving into mysteries using internet tools and open source intelligence. My thing is mapping. What happens next is a dedicated effort to peek behind the curtain of this pixelated, fuzzy blueness. To see what happens on the high seas when seemingly no one is looking. But lately, someone has been.
Contact to say we saw you. Okay, my wife. Phone number. The players who are out there who are not transmitting, and those are often some of the bad actors, because they've gone dark for a reason.
I think there's a real power in making this data visible, making it accessible, so that anyone can see it. So there is
Transmedia sets up 8 auto turrets in Rust. First, you'll need turrets, a large battery, a wind turbine, and 7 electrical branches. Take the wire from your wind turbine and connect it to your battery. Now set all the branches' values to 10, and connect each power out to another's power in. Finally, power the first branch and take the branch out to each turret. So, send it to your team. Teammates so that they know how to easily set up 8 auto turrets in Rust. First, you'll need turrets, a large battery, a wind turbine, and 7 electrical branches. Take the wire from your wind turbine and connect it to your battery. Now set all the branches' values to 10, and connect each power out to another's power in. Finally, power the first branch and take the branch out to each turret. So, send it to your team.
no hiding this activity. It's all visible now.
And now we can put it all together on a map to shine a light on this dark space, to reveal tens of thousands of vessels right now on the high seas, hiding from view. Christoph and I want to find out what they're up to.
There's a lot going on down there that they're not showing us.
So how do we track ships? I've been doing a bit of reading on this already, and the main system of keeping tracks of where ships are at any point in time is called the Automatic Identification System. AIS. It's the most generic name possible.
Yeah.
At a basic level, allows any vessel to see the traffic that's happening around it and to be seen by that traffic. And when you look at like a map of what all of them look like, you know, air traffic control for the entire ocean.
Jeez, wow. Oh, this is crazy.
It's a stunning amount of detail in real time that's publicly available.
I guess we're starting out with this reality that like we have a pretty good set of eyes on the high seas because every one of these ships has its
GPS turned on all the time by law. So we have a pretty solid way of seeing what's going on out there.
It's like pretty solid, but if you look at what an AIS transponder actually looks like, you can kind of see what's wrong. Because essentially, like, these things are required to have on legally, but in practice, the ship's master can just press that button. They can turn it off, and the ship effectively disappears from that map. They disappear from public view, and all of a sudden, they're not tracked, and they can get away with something fishy, for lack of a better word. Every time a ship does this, it's called going dark.
It's one of the great challenges is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right, but not enough about the subject to know you're wrong. There's like
everything that they do in that time of dark activity. So you'll hear a lot of these terms of like going dark, dark vessels, dark activity. There's also this whole sector of like, if you are going through an area with really intense piracy, you might want to turn it off, and you're doing it at that point like for your own safety.
Yeah.
Because like real world pirates, if you have an AIS receiver, it's almost like a treasure map of like where ships are around you. You can literally see like where are the cargo ships around me in real time right now.
So that's allowed to like flip the switch, press the button, turn it off if you are like fearing for your safety.
Yeah. The caveat is that if they do that, they do have to put together a report after the fact. You have to put in your ship logbook, you have to kind of explain why it happened. So like here, for example, this is a ship that turned its AIS transponder off. Right. Because it was warned about pirate activity close to Oman. We only know this because of this big safety report that we put together. What's crazy is like because it's all public, you can see this happening. Like they're doing this to be kind of under the cover of darkness. But if we just look at historical AIS records, we can see those disappearances happening. December 2012, it's a Spanish fishing vessel that's approaching Western Africa. Boom, disappears. July 2015, there's an Australian fishing ship doing the same thing on the Marine Reserve, disappears. October 2014, there is this Panamanian fishing vessel that approaches the Galapagos, disappears.
And these are the people we're after. Like, this is what we want to understand. Is what did they do when they press that button and go dark? Right? The fact that you can see their last location and then where they pick up again is a context clue.
It's a clue, for sure.
And on so much data available, like this is what I want to start to go down the rabbit hole on. It's like aggregating all this data, looking for the trends, and trying to understand what we can learn about what happens when these ships go dark. So we're talking a lot about shadowy activity happening in the dead of night. It kind of has to do with the sponsor of today's video, who addresses the shadowy reality of data brokers, the people who buy and sell your data, your information on an open market, and is why you get so much spam in your life, like junk mail and random texts and robocalls, and why your name can sometimes be searchable on people's search site. It's gotten out of hand. And even though we legally have the right to request that our names not be on this list, it's incredibly hard. I literally tried for a video a few years ago and failed. Then Incogni came out, and that's the sponsor of today's video. I've been using Incogni for a couple of years now. They've supported our work, and I'm really grateful because what you do is you give Incogni permission to go out on your behalf and just start making requests in these data broker lists. Requests that they remove your name, your address, and your birth date, and your browser history, and whatever they have on their profile that they want to monetize. And then you just get to sit back and watch. I like graphs, and they give you a graph of the total number of requests that they've sent out. In my case, 1,234 on 234. Wow, that's satisfying. The ones that are in progress, 222. Wow, these numbers are very satisfying. And completed, this is the most satisfying number, 1,012. There was 1,012 lists that had my name and information on it that no longer do, thanks to Incogni. And if you want to get really granular, you can go into like the detailed view and see all these sites that Incogni is monitoring. On all this stuff. You can even do these custom rules where if a site is spamming you, you can ask Incogni to go after them specifically. So go to incogni.com/Johnny Harris and use my code Johnny Harris with no spaces, and you get 60% off their unlimited plan. Again, that's incogni.com/Johnny Harris. Use the code. Thank you, Incogni, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to the ocean. After looking for all this data, step one is to start filtering things down. And I started to filter down by fishing. Just fishing vessels. Let's just start there. That's a lot of vessels, but it's not every vessel that we track. You can start to see, it's still a big thing, but you can start to see where these ships spend their time. These fishing vessels travel, there's lots of fish. And I'm also on this map, EEZs, which is a reminder that every country has ocean borders in which they are allowed to do economic things that no one else is allowed to. When you look at all of this AIS data, aggregated across the whole world, you start to see some bright spots. Specifically, here is one I started to focus on. It is this water off the coast of Ecuador surrounding this archipelago called the Galapagos Islands, like where Charles Darwin invented evolution.
Invented it. It didn't exist
It didn't
before,
exist,
but
no.
he figured it out
He
more.
invented it, made it up right there. Now, this is within Ecuador's exclusive economic zone. They have exclusive rights to this water. And it is also a protected marine area, but it's also teeming with valuable seafood. Sharks, jumbo flying Swiss, skipjack tuna. This is a protected area. And so you can see that a lot of this fishing activity happens right outside of these EEZs in international water. And remember, I'm trying to figure out what people do when they go. Press this button, turn on their transponders, and what are they up to? The next thing comes when you do this. Flags. So this is all the Chinese flag ships. Right outside of the EEZ of Galapagos Island, which belongs to Ecuador. And what we're looking at here is something like the biggest, most centralized, most powerful fishing effort in human history. So, seeing this, I'm starting to get tired of just pure data and shading. I wanted to see what does this look like in real life. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
See, these are all ships that have their lights on in the middle. It's almost like a city skyline, like a futuristic water city.
It's crazy. Like, we're in the middle of the ocean. Okay, before we continue, I just want to let you all know we're very close to launching New Press, which has been working on for like over a year, and we're getting super close. It's a place where we are doing a new kind of journalism, not just making stuff for all of you, but inviting you in to help us make it. Our current media landscape is noisy and drowning in headlines without context. This isn't working, and we want to make something different. New Press is here to be the next evolution in our journalism. And for those who join early, you'll actually get in on a reproduction of one of my favorite maps, a little gift from me and the team. If this is at all interesting to you, you can get on the waitlist at newpress.com. Now back to the story.
Listen, it's called connecting, and it's insane. I don't do schedules or timesheets manually. That it works? Oh, like you wouldn't believe it. My team puts in their availability, I click auto schedule, and boom, there it goes. No more Excel, no more phone calls, no more group chats. Perfect schedule, like that.
Yeah. All you gotta do is post it.
Yeah, my team lost it as just one app, so they see their shifts, they can...
So here's some quick context. In the 1980s, China had basically depleted the fish in the waters near its coast. Huge population, rapid industrialization. They were eating a lot of fish, and as they built up their economy, they just got aggressive. The local fish stock started to disappear. So the Chinese government stepped in. They said, okay, let's build a bigger fleet, one that can go way beyond our waters. And they did. They subsidized the building of these massive ships capable of sailing deep into international waters, even halfway around the world. And today, that fleet is just enormous. Recent analysis estimates that China has about 57,000 industrial fishing vessels, and that they account for roughly 44% of all fishing activity on Earth. 44%.
Stunning number.
Isn't that insane? That's half of all fishing is this fleet.
Right. So they just put a ton of money towards like building boats that are capable of going really far out at sea and building this whole infrastructure to bring all that back to China to be processed. But I'm imagining it's not all winds up in China. It goes right out.
It's a massive seafood industry. But yeah, it is Chinese government subsidizing these companies, helping them not just with subsidies but also with security. Sometimes the Chinese government will then security intelligence ships will go with them. It's part of the state effort to project power, and it also has resulted in the ability to fish. Okay. Possibly
Intelligent ships in the sense of like keeping the fishing vessels safe or making sure they don't get in trouble when they push the rules?
Fill in the blanks with whatever you suspect. We don't exactly know what they're up to, but just know this is a geopolitical act.
I mean, it's feels like Belt and Road, but like on the sea.
Yep, yes, exactly. It's a big economic push that results in a lot of fishing all around the world.
There's so many red dots that they are white.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, is this illegal? What they're doing? They're sending these ships all the way across the world, right next to other countries. Is any of that illegal?
No, actually not. It's concerning because they are aggressively fishing, but per this AIS data, which shows that they don't cross the line, they are not doing anything illegal from this view.
So the thing is, all of these are just AIS pings, which means this doesn't account for the fact that they can turn AIS off at any point in time. So this is just the publicly tracked available data. The fact that they can go dark is not a picture in this.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is not the full picture. Like, the AIS data is really helpful for me to see Chinese fishing efforts around the world and focusing on a hotspot where they're clearly doing a lot. But I now want to see what's happening actually on the ground here. And for that, I need someone who's actually been out there.
Yeah.
My name is Ian Urbina. I'm a journalist. I spent 17 years at the New York Times and then created the Outlaw Ocean Project. Every year, 200 to 300 squid vessels traverse the globe and sort of hover in very specific squid fisheries. So the goal was to get out into that patch, into that fishery, and if possible, get on board the Chinese vessels, where they are, who they use as workers, how long they're staying at sea, what sort of crimes are they involved in, what are the conditions in the boats.
So I think I have an understanding as to why it's so hard to regulate the deep sea, like way out in the high waters.
Hello, my name is Alexander Yermak. Until 2022, I was a musician, and now I am a soldier. In this war, I meet the best people of my life, brave ones. We defend freedom like no one else, using brains, innovation, and technologies. This first.
It's so far away from everything.
To get out into the high seas, you typically have to be in a pretty large vessel because the waters are pretty rough. Those are long trips.
Like getting out there, enforcing anything is just logistically difficult. And part of it is like, it's logistically difficult for like fishing vessels to get out there. When you want to be out there for a long time, like this hasn't been a huge problem because no one's going to actually be out there in a huge way. But that's changing as fishing companies get more sophisticated, get more money, get more consolidated. They can afford to send out big operations that can be out there for a really long time. And the leader of all of this is China. The scope and scale of Chinese fishing is unbelievable. It's not just the number of vessels, it's the way that they do it. They bring out all of these vessels, and then they have these motherships, huge reefers that are big refrigerated vessels. And the way that it works is the smaller fishing boats are they go out, fish, come back to mothership, drop off all their stuff, get refueled, get resupplied, and just go out. So don't have to dock, and then go back. They never have to go back to China. They can be out there indefinitely. Because that reefer eventually will fish, and go back to China while the fishing vessels are still out there, and then move to China. Before we look into the satellite stuff, there's kind of, but like, the first thing you see is how invisible is the only reason the stations is because they see just it just is non-stop these clusters. Often clusters are being right against the
Oh.
Amiga, tu papá no puede hacer el novillo. No tengas costilla.
¿Puerco?
No, costilla para caldo. ¿Sí es bien?
Costilla para caldo.
Sí, nomás así.
Ok, está bien.
La tienes, mira. Están así de gruesas, unas tiras así. Dice, ¿se la corto? Le dice, no, así entera. $30.
30 de costilla para
¿Un
caldo.
40?
Pero de res, ¿verdad?
Sí, de res.
Costilla para caldo, $30.
30, pero ahora sí por la cabeza.
Gracias.
Regresa a tu papá cuando llegue. Espérate, no trae nomás una costilla. Quiero. Yo llego primero aquí.
Ok.
Si no vayas que llega.
Sí. Hay que mandarme unos tiempos.
Ya no tarde en llegar, que tiene. Me voy a mandar para allá. Llevo una vasija para hacer caldo. Si estás en el novillo y no te acuerdas, me hablas. Dile, nomás que sean $30. Porque si le pides 2 libras, 3 libras, no se va a pasar de 30.
There's fishing vessels, most of those are Chinese. That's about it. That's all you can see. And from that perspective, it's not completely like they're just sort of sitting there. Yes, they're fishing. Yes, it's kind of crazy. Yes, we need regulation to like determine if this is okay. But on paper, it actually looks pretty fun. It's like Wyoming, right up the border. Yeah, not like so for example, there's no reason to be clustered like that. Right there, right on the border.
fishing is the world's most dangerous profession in terms of fatalities globally.
Ian Urbina has spent years investigating what actually happens out here on these ships. And what he's found is
the guys said we're being held against our will, they took our passports, we desperately want to come home, there's violence on board. I've seen many workers who are on 2-year contracts and they never come to shore.
He's documented crewmen who've been at sea for years, literally years, against their will sometimes, cut off from their families, trapped by debt and fake job promises, their passports taken away from them, stuck indefinitely. Because now that these boats can drop off their fish and get fuel and supplies from these motherships, you never have to go back to port.
It's not just falling overboard from exhaustion or getting hit by a heavy piece of equipment. It's also just infection, it's suicide. It's lots of other forms of slow motion threat to a brutal type of work. The mental health kind of burden in solitary confinement, essentially for 2 years of this sort, you can see in these guys.
These men develop horrible illnesses, they're injured, they're malnourished, all of this is the exhaustion, the despair, and isolation. They out here, far from anyone who might see it.
Squid vessels in particular also just because they're mechanics and they're bringing thousands per hour on board and they're in the so it's like climbing sometimes rather than sounds nodes. There's layers, layers of movements on every imaginable surface around the floor. You can't get that stuff off, so it's insanely slippery. There's vermin everywhere. It smells. It's very ammonia smells. Squid use ammonia for buoyancy, so it smells like piss.
That's taking the fantasy very well. And again, on paper, when I look at these maps of their tunnels, they are over and that sounds like when they cannot let things mother and they can't be playing they see what happens.
Data you see is both right up to the sea and disappear for 72 hours or 7 days, and they pop back up, save some, then disappear, and then they pop back up. What is going on here? And how can we know what is happening during those dark hours or days?
Because that paper's are so far away from the sea. So anything we do with that time is completely unseen.
A so-called flushable. Columbia's best friend, Ford Spears.
Who's the number one fan of flushable water? Plumber. So we decided to put in on the path.
Totally.
Hey, we're not saying you can, but we're here when you do. Plumber. Here when you need it, especially if you love flushable water.
All today.
If you're looking for the best thing I can get Sunrise up, I love the right thing. Get this thing is Sunrise Big Documents. It's in the that's so much. So I'm wondering if this video is truly exactly how this works. Now, this ain't looking at my gas, it's not about the show. And this democracy is it's not just one big base to it, it's going to be these long documents to understand. No, it's like that's something you understand.